Alright guys, WOD Blog, Thursday. We got a little team workout today. 3 different movements. Rowing, kettlebell swings, wall balls. Fun stuff. The way this thing's going to run is each team of 2 people is going to have to complete 2,000 meters of rowing, 200 kettlebell swings, and 200 wall balls. There's going to be a little bit of strategy in this one. You can go in any order you want. You and your partner determine what order you want to go in, and you can do that. However, here's the one caveat. You must finish a movement all the way through the requisite number of reps or meters before moving on to the subsequent movement. So if my partner and I decide that we're going to start on the rower, we must complete our 2,000 meters before we move on to our 200 kettlebell swings or our 200 wall balls. For the rowing, the only stipulation is that you must alternate 500-meter rows. So each person is going to do 2 500-meter rows. For the wall ball and the kettlebell swing, you can break those up however you want. You have 200 reps to complete of each. You can do alternating 10s, you can alternate 20s, alternate 5s. You can do 1 rep and pass the kettlebell to your partner and have them do 1 rep. I don't recommend that method, but you can definitely do that if you prefer. Starting with the rower, guys. A little bit about rowing technique. A row is a really cool movement because it trains a lot of the same things that we try to train with the deadlift and the clean. One being with in the deadlift, trying to push through the heels and fire through the hamstrings and the butt, as opposed to getting on those toes, which then puts the pressure into the quad. So we really want to make sure that as I'm rowing, that I'm staying with my heels planted, coming here and driving through those heels, staying in my posterior chain. And then just like the clean, we want to make sure that we're waiting until that very last moment to pull with the arms. We don't want to come here and begin to pull with the arms for our power. It's a lot like the clean in that we fully extend and then boom, the arms are the last thing to finish. They just stay loose like ropes until the tension creates that moment where you pull. So I'm going to just run through a couple reps and focus on a couple things. The amount of time that I wait to pull with my arms, waiting until that rower is a little bit weightless, just like in the clean with the barbell, and also focusing on my heels staying planted and my back position. So here I'm going to get this thing going. So hopefully you can see those things that I was talking about earlier. Then we have 200 kettlebell swings as partners. So my recommendation would probably be to alternate 10s, 15s, or 20s, whatever you guys think you're capable of at that time in the workout. It's going to be 53 pounds for guys, 35 for ladies. So as I've talked about in previous weeks, making sure that that chest stays up and that the kettlebell comes right underneath the groin. We don't want to let that chest come over and that kettlebell come all the way down here, because even if I can maintain a flat back in this position, it ends up making me use my back to create that momentum instead of my hips. So we want to keep that chest up, again driving through the heels, letting that kettlebell sink right just beneath the groin so that the power is coming from the hips and that violent thrust of the hips and not from our back. So I'm here, up overhead. Notice my chest position stays vertical, and how when I hit those hips, the kettlebell just kind of floats up overhead. And so we'll finish 200 kettlebell swings. We'll have 200 wall balls as partners. Once again, you can alternate these as desired. Just get through 200 reps. As I've talked about in previous weeks, really focus on driving through the legs and making sure that that ball doesn't come off your chest until the last moment. Think of it like a thruster. You lose a lot of power if you try to start pushing before your hips pop. So just like in the kettlebell swing, how those hips fire the kettlebell up, the hips are also going to fire the wall ball up. So wait until that last moment, and then the ball just kind of floats up there through the use of the hips. As I've discussed in previous weeks as well, focus on your breathing. If you can breathe when the ball's out of your hands, It's going to be much easier than trying to breathe with the ball compressing your structure down or in the bottom of the squat where you're all crunched over. And finally, to save your shoulders, if that's an issue for you, you can always moon those arms out like I've talked about in previous weeks too. So coming up and kind of giving those shoulders a split second of rest during the movement. So row 2,000, 200 kettlebell swings, 200 wall balls. Go home, eat food, be merry.